opening statements from our candidates. We're going to move on to a question period. What we've done is, in the interest of time, we really can't open the floor for everybody to ask questions, but we have collected a few questions and picked out 2 questions at random for each candidate to answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up in halves. We're almost halves until somebody showed up, maybe gave me an odd number. So now I've got 11 versus 10. So we're going to have to figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I have the 2 questions. So each candidate will answer each question, but I'm going to break it up where I'll ask one of the questions for some of the candidates, and then the next question for the other candidates. Then we'll reverse back, so they'll answer both questions. That makes any sense to you? Hopefully I did. But we'll start out with question number 2, and I'll call out who will answer these questions. Starting with question number 2, what is your position on Anaheim streetcar luxury hotel tax incentives? The question number 2 will start out with Denise Barnes. That's the main one.
Quite honestly, I am quite impressed with that question. There have been so many new programs, beginning with Arctic and other types of transportation in the city, that our investment in them, I feel, could possibly be a waste of money. I understand that the OCTA has made a decision, and I believe that with that decision, that will determine whether we move forward with this. But quite frankly, I want, and my heart is in West Anaheim, so I'm going to do everything in my power, anything that I can, humanly possible, to make sure that dollars, improvements, the livelihood of West Anaheim is first and foremost. Thank you.
Okay, continuing on with question 2, we'll now have Freddie Fitzgerald answer the question. Ready?
Same question?
Same question. I'm going to give you all some of the same questions for starters.
Sure, I'll speak from up here. Streetcar. Man, what a waste of money. We really could use that in all the areas in Anaheim. I mean, it is a crucial. I'm running for the west side of Anaheim, but I do travel down State College quite a bit as well. And I can tell you we can use that money for parks, our libraries, our local library in West Anaheim. It looks like something from the 80s. Literally, they still have the posters from the 80s. And the kids, the section for the kids, there's a big window. And there was, the time I went to visit, there was about 11 homeless staring outside. And when you talk to me about millions and millions of dollars of streetcar to travel this small distance, it was not a good investment for me.
Again, same question. Matt Stark.
I share the same sentiment. I do feel that it was a poor decision, but I'm sorry. I do believe that it was a poor decision, but I think that hopefully, if I am elected into office, those types of decisions will be more critically looked at, and if there is something similar nature proposed to the city council, I would commit to being responsible fiscally, being critical, and making sure at looking at it through a lens that will impact the most amount of people in Anaheim and not tourists. I want to make sure that, like everyone else has said, that we prioritize our children and the most vulnerable in our societies. So I appreciate the question.
Okay, in the interest of monotony, I will not go ask the same question for everybody at the same time. We're going to move on to question number 1 now. And question number 1. Number 1. What is your position on short-term rentals and why? We'll start out with Mark Daniels.
I took part in that whole process when it came before the city council, and I believe that was one of the worst decisions by the city council in so many years, that they allowed this to happen because of somebody upstairs had said to somebody else that they can go ahead and do that. And the time and money and the effort that was wasted on this, and it was so great that the community came together, the Robbins family, so many people came together to shoot that down. And we all got together, and it was such a great thing to see that defeated. We gotta make sure it continues to be that way, that we can't have that coming back in the future. Thank you.
Move over to Mark Lopez, question number 1 again.
I guess I can speak from over here. Everybody can hear me in the back.
No.
No? It's okay. I'll just go into the mic and make it easy for everybody. Crowd seems to get bigger every time I come up here. As far as the short-term rentals, I actually had lived with my grandparents here in the city of Anaheim. After they passed away, I sold their condominium that they owned, and there was an investor who wanted to buy it and actually turn it into short-term rental, so I ended up turning them down. So if that's any indication of my position on short-term rentals, I understand that there is a personal property issue with that it is their personal property, but again, the neighbors have their own personal freedom to enjoy a peaceful, quiet home and a neighborhood that's not trashed, that's not full of noise and other nuisances. We don't have a way to do any kind of background checks on people that just show up in the neighborhood that are there on a weekend. We don't have those safety checks in place. They get, I've had some vandalism where I live now, and some thefts, petty thefts of different parcels that are left in the neighborhood. These people get there and then they take the parcels and then they just go ahead and leave. So I was opposed to it. Thank you.
Again, question number 1, Robert Williams, short-term rentals.
Thank you. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. Okay, perfect. When I first looked into the issue, I hadn't made a decision, then I looked farther into it, and I was opposed to it. Bottom line is that Anaheim is a small community environment, and we need to keep it that way. So I am opposed to it, and as we know, this is gonna come back up again when the next city council is seated, and we have to have strong individuals that are gonna fight for the voice of the community. I walked the district, I talked to the people, I looked at the properties, and short-term rentals are a disaster for District 4. So I'm opposed, diabolically opposed to them, and I would do everything in my power to fight against short-term rentals being allowed in the city of Anaheim.
Okay, another change up here. We'll go back to question number 2 regarding the Anaheim Streetcar Luxury Hotel tax incentives. And that'll be our answer with Dr. Jose Moreno.
As I've stated numerous times, both in op-ed pieces as well as at public comments, I absolutely oppose the way that these giveaways have been done, $700 million. So I'd rather talk about what we do to stop it. What it reflects is a pay-to-play politics. Even though they know it's the wrong thing, they know that their owners need them to vote for it. So 2 things I would propose to do on the city council. First thing is an ordinance that if you request a subsidy of over a certain amount, let's say $1 million from our city, you cannot play in local elections. You are banned from participating in funding local campaigns or giving to IEs to fund local campaigns as per contract. You chose to take a subsidy. You can't use those profits to then manipulate the people of Anaheim through your mailers. I'll stop there.
Quick reminder, we can hold our applause so we get this time frame in. At the end of the meeting, we can go ahead and make some applause from there.
In colleges, students like this.
Arturo Ferrara, question number 2.
How much is it? Who benefits from it? How many schools can be built with the money that we can do it with, that we will use for that? And I know it's a status quo for developing cities. Who will benefit from it? The community I represent take the bus. They don't need streetcars. Anybody among you here have been to the Arctic? 1, 2, 3. It would connect. So nobody's gone there. So it's a waste of money. We block it. We give it to the community. Invest it in the school. Invest it in the children. Invest it in our park.
question number 2 will be from Sandra Angel.
My position is simple, no on the streetcars and no to giving away, any kind of tax subsidy that the city of Anaheim belongs to us.
Okay, that finishes up question number 2. We'll go back to number 1. Answering the rental, short-term rentals will be Orlando Perez.
I will come here so you guys can hear me. Short-term rental is the interesting subject. I do real estate. I'm a real estate agent. And I deal with a lot of customers or clients that they want to buy the property, whether it be condominium or whatever it is, to use them for short-term. I try to tell them, you know, it's not gonna work right because most of the people that use the short-term rental, what they do, they end up abusing it. And we don't need people to abuse these kind of things. So therefore, you know, I oppose it. So something needs to be done, and people need to be known what is going on out there. So we don't need anybody to be abusing. Thank you.
Okay, Robert Nelson, question number 1 again. Short-term rentals.
Chance finally. I'm a no on short-term rentals. I've actually had one on my street. One neighbor was totally against it. The one on the other side was totally for it. So the problem we have to worry about is what happens to the 400 that we have now. We have to make sure that those go away and don't end up as halfway houses for drug rehab. And I've had one of those in my neighborhood too. Those are way worse than an STR. So STRs, no, and we need to make sure that these things are sold and don't end up causing some other problems in the neighborhood.
Okay, well, that concludes those questions. Now we'll reverse the order again. So to get everybody's chance to, Martin? Did I miss you?
Yes.
Which one did I miss you on?
SDR.
STR, okay, then go ahead and do work on this. I missed it. Pardon? Did I get it? What did I miss? No, we're gonna get a chance on it. I'm switching the orders now.
Oh.
There we go. I know there's confusion somewhere. So we'll start off the other way around. Mark Lopez will speak on question number 2 now, which is gonna be the luxury tax.
Streetcar.
There's a method to that.
Well, I consider myself pretty open-minded and reasonable. I feel like most people in the audience probably feel like they would describe themselves as reasonable. No one would say they're unreasonable about anything, I would hope. And most of you probably, some of you look a little too young to have served on a jury, but maybe I look a little too young to serve on a jury myself. But one of the things they ask you is, what would a reasonable person do in a similar circumstance? What we're looking at with as far as the hotel subsidies, we do have a growing economy here in Anaheim. We have Star Wars Land has been a big thing that's going to be coming in. It's one of the most successful franchises and movie franchises in history. There's no reason to believe that people wouldn't come for that. People wouldn't want to stay in Anaheim. So developers would be clamoring over themselves to build new hotels here. I don't think that we need to have subsidies to do it. As far as streetcar, I believe in limited government, free market, and limited eminent domain. One of the big things with that, the streetcar we would have to take down a restaurant and some other, I believe it was another hotel. So I would strongly oppose those. Thank you.
Going to question number 1, Denise Barnes. Short-term rentals. Short-term rentals.
How many times can you say no? Part of no, don't you understand? I think, is there any ear doctors in here? Maybe they need their ears cleaned out, but I could hear you screaming at the city council saying, no, heck no. Why aren't you on my side? And that has been going on since, I believe, 2014. I can't even understand how these people must be martyrs to take on this type of environment that long. Truly. Hello, neighbor, and kindness should be number 1 on the city council. If they can't hear that, then something's definitely wrong. Please, Kindness, hello neighbor, get rid of STRs.
Okay, addressing question number 2, Mark Daniels. Streetcar luxury tax incentives.
Yeah.
Start the clock when I get up here.
Yeah, definitely, that is a no. We have a world-class transportation system, the Orange County Transit Authority, which Mayor Tate sits on, and they even say so themselves. They're a world-class, wonderful, they've won all these awards. They can handle that, bringing people from the art to Disneyland. They've done it for years. And we don't need to subsidize something that we're not in the business to subsidize. We need to only worry about the road that the transportation goes back and forth on. Let the existing bus company take care of putting an extra line or a super bus or something on there. We don't need a streetcar. No.
Question number 1, Sandra Angel. Short-term rentals.
With short-term rentals, you lose the power of being a good neighbor, knowing who lives there, who doesn't, who belongs there, who doesn't, and then my neighbor knowing that about my house. With short-term, it's impossible. You could actually probably help your neighbor's burglar, help him load their car, just being a nice person. It's a bad idea, no.
Okay, question number 1 again, Freddie Fitzgerald.
Man, it's a tough crowd for the yeses, but yeah, you get another no from me. I'm opposed to short-term rentals. I think I'm one of the few candidates here who's about to raise family. I just got engaged to my beautiful fiance, Juliette Peel. And in that note, I grew up here, and I started asking the community, my classmates who now have families, and my entire family who has houses all over Anaheim, asked what they thought, and we had a few of those, and they're very destructive to our community. I remember one of my classmates telling me that their high school and middle school age child couldn't do their homework because there was a party going on next door. That's not the kind of family values the Anaheim should stand for.
Okay, question number 2, Robert Williams. Hotel luxury incentives.
Again, no, we don't need to be subsidizing if the hotels can afford to build the hotel, they don't need your tax dollars to continue building the hotels and making them. What we do need to do is the money that we would be using to subsidize the hotels, we need to put into education. I think all of us agree that education is key in this community, that taking care of our homeless issues is a key to this community, and that if you want to come in to the city of Anaheim, you want to build in the city of Anaheim, pay your own way. We weren't subsidized when we bought our houses. We weren't subsidized when we started our business, so why should we subsidize anybody else? So the answer is no, and I hope that is crystal clear for everybody out there. Thank you.
Now over to question number 2, Orlando Perez.
Please repeat the question.
Question again is dealing with luxury hotel tax, Anaheim streetcar luxury hotel tax incentives.
Well, as far as the streetcars, I think that with the money that they're using it for the streetcars, they should use it for something else. As far as, like, I live on Beach Ball, and down Beach Boulevard, there's a lot of things happening in there. There's a lot of things that they need to be changed there, and one of them is maybe build a better restaurant or do something different with the money instead of using it for the streetcar. $700 million is quite a lot of money, so I think it needs to be used wisely. Use it for the education, use it for something that is positive in the output for everybody in the whole city of West Anaheim, and Anaheim itself, actually. So it needs to be used positively. So thank you.
Arturo Perez, question number 1, short-term rentals.
We can't sacrifice long-term development by short-term gain. We have to fight it. And we can't sacrifice the social fabric of our neighborhood by making money out of our livelihood, like where we live. So we ban it, and if I'm elected, I will make sure that the policies will be enforced strongly against short-term rental, because they're removing children from our schools, they're downgrading our budgets in the school, and they're destroying the quality of life in our school. So I worked and I walked and I spoke in the city council, and we banned short-term rental in Anaheim.
Moving over to question number 1 again, Angel Van Stark. Short-term rentals.
So I have a bit of skepticism about this specific short-term rentals. Who benefits on the other side? The hotel industry. So I just caution everyone to look at who is a hard no, a true committed no, and who is a bot no. So just that point alone. But I am against short-term rentals because I've seen what it's done in San Francisco, where developers start to take advantage of the short-term rental market and they evict people out of their home and turn these properties into hotels. And so I am skeptical on both sides, and I hope everyone here is too. We need to have that skepticism, that healthy amount of skepticism, and look deeply at the contributions made to every candidate and see, again, who is a hard no, a true no, and who is a bot no. So I just want to raise that point, but still, I'm a no.
Okay, question number 1, Dr. Jose Moreno. Short-term rentals again.
I would be a hell no. I live in a community where vacation rentals have come. So my thing on this is simply, I'm very Rousseauian in terms of thinking about social contracts. The city, through whatever process, has decided to invest billions in a resort district, and I don't believe our neighborhoods should become hotel zones. We've already made that decision. Let's invest in neighborhoods as neighborhoods and not bring businesses into neighborhoods where we've already invested for them to be in the first place. And a reminder, affordable housing was not allowed in the resort district, fought by the corporate interests. So I would fight to keep our neighborhoods to be neighborhoods. That's what I bought into as a property owner.
Finally, question number 2, Robert Nelson. No, I have streetcar.
Well, let's be real about this. The streetcar, that's the Disney train. It goes from Arctic to Disneyland. Biggest waste of money there is. It's a waste of money just like Arctic was. We spent $300 million on that to build a train station for nobody to show up. We have all these projects that they say, build it and they will come. They're not coming, okay? It's a waste of money. We need to stop it.
That concludes our questions from the audience, the 2 questions we had. At this point, we'll now move on to the final portion of the candidates' discussion, that is the closing statements.